With housing prices seemingly getting more and more out of reach for Canadians, many people are blaming investors and large investment firms for basically ruining the Canadian real estate market. But is that really what they're doing? How active are they? And what can we learn as home buyers in order to use the exact same tactics to find opportunities that makes housing more affordable for individual buyers? And that's what I'm going to talk about today as we get into this video. But first, do me that favor, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, please hit that like button so more people like you can see this video. And don't forget about our race to 25,000 subscribers, where when we hit 25,000 subscribers, we're going to give away $5,000 for one person to put into their RESP, RSP, TFSA, or to simply pay down their mortgage or pay down their debt. It's up to the winner. Thank you to the 14,000 of you who are already subscribed. I sincerely hope if you aren't already subscribed that you do, so you have a chance at winning that money. Go ahead, click that subscribe button. It's free, it's easy, and it's definitely worth it. The definitive guide on how to manage your credit, product, penalty, price in that order. It's never been more important to get your mortgage right. Okay, so let's get into it. Let's discuss what is happening with investors and institutional investors in the Canadian real estate market and what we can learn and what we can do in order to take their exact same tactics and use it to our advantage. And what I'm going to show you at the end of this video, and what I'm going to tell you at the end of this video, is how to take the exact same tactics and the recognition of opportunity that they are using in order to make it easier for you to buy a home. So let's get into it and let's just take a quick look at the news. There are 4 articles I want to point out here today. I want to start with this one. Housing market gone berserk stirs unease over investor clout. So in other words, what they're talking about here is that there has been a lot of conversation and a lot of talk about investors buying in the markets and basically shooting up the values across Canada. Now, I don't think this is as big of an issue as people think it is. Yes, there's people who have lost out in bidding wars to investors who come in with all cash offers, and that's going to happen. In fact, if there's a really good deal in a normal market, that's going to happen. Investors tend to watch the markets, they tend to watch certain areas, and when there's a deal, they're going to jump on it. So if there's a property that they think has an opportunity, that's just part of the whole real estate process. It's going to happen. And at some point, if you're finding a property that's got a really good deal, you're probably going to find yourself facing a real estate investor. Now, here's where it starts to get interesting though, because the Canadian Real Estate Association, was it the Canadian Real Estate Association? Yep. Canadian Real Estate Association has come out this week and said that investors account for 1/5 of home purchases in Canada. And the question is, are they driving up home prices? Well, here's the thing, is the way this title and the way this headline reads is, it reads like institutional investors, so big companies, are purchasing properties and they are driving up the housing prices. But you have to remember that in this 1/5 of home purchases, most of this actually isn't institutional investors. This isn't core developments. This isn't, big companies like Blackstone and BlackRock in the US that are coming in and purchasing houses. This includes the small mom and pop investors. This includes people like my wife and I who are purchasing revenue properties for our own small portfolio, and any other number of real estate investors that we know that are doing the exact same thing. And a lot of the times it is not so much big institutional investors that are purchasing these residential properties. It is really small investors and people who are just trying to do something for their future. So you have to keep that in mind, that a lot of the real estate investors that are being talked about in these articles are people just like you who are taking advantage of the real estate market. Now, here's the interesting one that I want to point out. Investment firms aren't buying all the houses, but they are buying the most important ones. This is from the US. This is an American article, and it's talking about Blackstone, BlackRock. Man, they're so hard to they're all so hard to remember now. Okay, so there's BlackRock, which is the very, very, very large hedge fund in the US that had spun off a company called Blackstone a few years ago. Blackstone is purchasing residential real estate properties, single family homes in the US, and they're taking a lot of criticism for it. But what's interesting, and I've highlighted this here below, is they aren't buying every single house, because there's this perception that they're out there and they're the ones causing the bidding wars. It's just actually not what's happening. They aren't targeting things like the move-up houses or the brand new houses. What they're targeting is the stock of relatively inexpensive single-family homes built since the 1970s in growing metro areas. And then the question becomes, what are they doing with these houses and why are they buying them? And why do they see opportunity there? So that gets me to the point where I'm going to take you back to Canada now, and I'm going to talk about one specific company that has caused some outrage in the market, which is Core Development. So this is an article from CBC News. Outrage over developers' plan to buy single-family homes reveals a Canadian fixation. Now, I don't know what the Canadian fixation is. I'm not going to talk about that. But what I am going to talk about is the fact that Core Development has decided, they have announced that they are going to purchase over $1 billion in Canadian single family homes. Now, the question is, if housing prices are so high and they are so unattainable, why is a company like Core Development seeing an opportunity to invest in the Canadian real estate market? And what the heck are they doing that makes it so reasonable for them to buy single family homes, $1 billion of them? Well, we're all struggling as individuals to buy those homes. What are they doing that allows them to see an opportunity there that a lot of us are missing? And this is where I get to my point and the lesson of the day from this video and the opportunity that I am seeing as a result of what we're seeing in the news and the outrage that these big companies are causing is what I'm seeing is the opportunity to learn from what they're doing and do exactly what they're doing as a single family home purchaser. So if I was in the market to purchase a home right now and I wanted to take advantage of what companies like Core Developments were doing, what I would do is I would be looking to buy 1970s, 1980s homes. And this is what they're doing. They're buying them and they are renovating them. And they're renovating them in such a way that they're essentially doing what's called house hacking. And they're taking single family homes and they're making them so that they have either a secondary suite, a legal secondary suite, or maybe a third suite over a garage. And they're basically taking these single family homes and they're creating more density. And with more density comes higher rents because you're renting to 3 families instead of 1 family or 2 families instead of 1 family. And that subsequently is what makes the purchase of single family homes and older single family homes so viable for these big investment companies. And you can do exactly the same thing. So if you are a home buyer and you're going, wow, I don't think I qualify for the amount that I want to purchase for, or I think I'm going to have trouble making the payments on this property that I've purchased, well, you can do the exact same thing as what many of these investment companies are doing. And that is to simply go out and purchase a home with the intention of renovating it and adding a suite. This is what's called a mortgage helper in the real estate industry and in the mortgage industry. And what you would do is you would take a single family home and you would go and get what's called a purchase plus improvements mortgage. Now, what a purchase plus improvements mortgage does is it allows you to borrow up to 10% of the value of the property or $40,000. Now, those are the typical guidelines. We see a lot of exceptions to this rule in a lot of cases. We've seen as much as $105,000 in purchase plus improvements be approved on a $500,000 property in the last week. Actually, that was literally last week that we had a deal that happened on. So what you can do is you can go and you can get a purchase plus improvements mortgage from a lender, and they will lend on the as renovated value. So the as renovated value would be with a suite added to the basement or a suite added over top of a garage. And basically what they will do is they will fund the project for you to take a single family home and make it into a multifamily home that allows you to get basically a rental suite that you can use for to help you pay the mortgage and ultimately help you own the home that you want to use. So this is what's happening. This is why these big institutional investors see opportunities, because they see the ability to take single family homes, increase the density. And as you increase the density, you have more people paying for the same properties. You have people that are renting a property and maybe you're living in the top or the bottom and they're living in the top or the bottom, and you're basically sharing the cost, but they're contributing to your mortgage and your costs associated with owning that property. And then the question becomes, well, if you do it on one, why don't you do it on a second one or a third one or a fourth one? And really anytime a big institutional investor or series of institutional investors flocks towards a market like they're doing right now, what that tells us is that there is opportunity and you can use the same tactics that they're using in order to benefit personally, whether it's buying one house or buying a portfolio of 5 or 6 and so on and so forth. So I think the lesson from all of the outrage that's happening in the media is not that we should be upset that these companies are doing this, but we should be taking the opportunity and the news and the ideas and going, well, hey, This is a huge opportunity for us to do the exact same thing and reap the rewards as a result. We have investor clients who have done this exact same thing and purchased properties and lived in them essentially for free without having to pay a single dollar out of their own pocket for their own mortgage expenses, because they've added rental units and basically had other people come in, share the density of the property, and basically pay off their mortgages for them. So this is a really great thing that you could do. It's a really great opportunity to purchase properties, even though they seem like they're high price, and do it in such a way that it makes an incredible opportunity. There's this thing that Robert Kiyosaki, whether you love him or hate him, and love it or hate his ideas now, his original ideas around investing and purchasing real estate still hold true. And his ideas around debt, which is there's good debt and there's bad debt. And good debt is the type of debt where it earns you an income. Bad debt is the type of debt where you're paying for it. Well, a property that you're buying and living in with no income coming in from a secondary suite, that is considered bad debt because you're paying for it. But the second you put that the second you put that renter in a basement suite or in a garage suite or something like that, well, now you're starting to convert your bad debt into good debt, and you're allowing other people to pay off your debt rather than doing it yourself, which is exactly what these big investment companies are doing. They're seeing the opportunity to take debt, purchase properties, allow other people to rent them out, and they're basically taking that opportunity that small investors have known is there for a long time and institutionalizing it. So do the same thing, take advantage of the market, and you will 100% be grateful that you took the extra time to do the renovation, make a property a little bit better, a little bit more dense, and ultimately you'll reap the rewards. So if you're thinking about getting into the market, obviously we have a first-time homebuyer boot camp. We have secrets to getting the lowest interest rate course that I'll link to the description below. If you're getting into the market, you need to be reading either one of those or going through one of those courses or both of them. There is a ton of gold further than what we can do on any sort of YouTube video in there. They're both worth at least 10 to 50 times what you pay for them. They're priced really, really reasonably. Links in the description below. There's a 50% off coupon for the secrets to getting the lowest interest rate course off the already discounted price. Sincerely hope that you will join us on that journey. If you want to talk more about the strategy that I just talked about, go ahead, hit the comment section below, and I'm happy to discuss it there. And other than that, do me the favor, hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell. Please hit that like button so more people like you can see this video. And don't forget about that race to 25,000 subscribers. I sincerely hope you, yes you, the person's watching this right now, yeah you, I sincerely hope you'll be the winner. Cheers.